A Green Spark. Chapter 1. "Clinton, run, goddammit! Get out of here!" An older gentleman's voice rang out. It was the only thing you could hear other than the heavy breathing echoing in your lungs. Everything else was silenced by the flames erupting around you. Sparks flew by your eyes, causing tears to form from the pain and heat. You looked down at your feet, feeling the warmth of the ash below them, just to look up at a horrid sight in front of you again. Frozen in fear, you watch as darkness grows, only interrupted by pairs of glowing eyes through the smoke. "Hey boss, I found the brat." You were so distracted staring at the scene in front of you that you forgot what was happening. The death of your father. Burnt into ashes and gone with the smoke around you. It's now ingrained in your mind as deep as your first memories. But you didn't notice the figure roaming through the rubble behind you, lifting you up by your shirt collar. He lifted you like a war flag, limp in the wind to show the others your battered body. You had burns blistering all over your skin. Your clothing was torn, ripped, and shredded where anything wasn't burnt. You were covered in ash. Your normally brightly colored pajamas were black with soot. Tears littered your face as you stared up at them, involuntarily ingraining their faces and glowing eyes into your mind. You weakly shut your eyes as there was more movement, everyone coming closer to you. Please, why couldn't this just be a nightmare? You think to yourself as you feel their silent stares at you. The crackling of the fire that surrounded your house still filled the noise around the four of you. You opened your eyes just to be met with the leader of the group and someone you wish you could call your brother once again. The leader had dark skin that blended in with the smoke all around you. His face was lit up with a golden eye on his right, and his left eye was a mix of the lightest blue and white, surrounded by a light pink scar that ripped across his face. You didn't have time to question if he was blind before a pair of emerald green wings spanned out in front of you, a stubborn front on the face that owned them, standing proudly beside his leader. You once looked at those eyes, those multicolored eyes, with love. His right eye shone brightly with that same emerald green color, and his left matched your red eyes. Well, what do we do with him? His green wings flowed with the redness along the bone structure, much like the others. You couldn't tell if they were stained with blood or were naturally that color. The leader looked past everyone, a figure in the distance catching his attention. "It doesn't matter. Leave him here to die for all I care. We gotta move." Both of them look up at him with confused stares. You could see red horns and purple glow from the figure holding you up, until he dropped you onto the rubble below. "He's too young to train and too old for his soul to be taken." He turned to look at the figure who dropped you. "Make the portal." He quickly nodded, his wings spanning out to flood your vision with a deep purple. You could only watch in horror as they all go through the portal created in front of him, watching in horror as they all leave you to die. You watched as your brother went through as well, his green horns disappearing without even a glance your way. You could hear the leader chuckle as he was the last one in the portal. A low voice rang out through your ears. "Let's see if she can save him." You couldn't help the flood of tears and emotion that escaped your lungs afterwards. You watched as rubble fell around you, loud crashing amongst the crackling of fire, and you screamed. You scream so desperately as you see rubble falling around you, trapping you. A scream you still remember years later. Clinton, wake up, honey, you're having a nightmare again." A soft voice spoke through the chirps of birds singing their morning song. A bright light from the window beside me flooded the room with sun's morning rays. I squint my eyes open just to see a kind face plastered with heavy emotion above me. Her hand was on my shoulder gently, squeezing it, and as I looked down, I was met with another kind face plastered with that same emotion. It was concern and fear as they looked at me. I turned my head back towards the woman standing over me. Her strawberry blonde hair was always braided even while she slept. It fell past her waist if it wasn't in a bun, and her almost black-brown eyes reflected against the tears that speckled them. I groaned and stood up, pushing her away gently as I looked around the room. It almost seemed unfamiliar, even though I've woken up to the Lego sculptures and race car wallpaper for almost a year now. "Evelyn, is he all right?" I smiled softly at the kind voice of the small kid beside me. He was only about a year younger than me, my newly adopted best friend, Carl. Or, well, I'm the adopted one here. Adopted by Carl's mom's best friend. I chuckle and rub the sleep from my eyes, and then rub his head, messing up his dyed hair. It was the same color as the ends of his mother's, with no trace of the blonde hair he naturally had. I took a moment and looked around again, granting myself with the rainbow banner above his bed, the bookcase filled with school supplies, and the pillows stacked on his bed of different game characters he liked. I sighed. We went back and forth between sleeping at his mom's house or Evelyn's, my adopted mom's house, since they lived in a duplex, side by side all the time, every day of the week. It was easy to spend time with Carl. even if I was forced to most of the time. I'm fine, Shrimp, I mumble, yawning quickly after. Why wouldn't I be? Because you were crying really bad. I sigh and nudge him away before rubbing the tear stains from my face. No one can know. I shiver at the thoughts that race through my mind before smiling softly and stretching, breathing slowly to calm myself down and erase any lingering thoughts of the repetitive nightmare once again. I promise I'm fine. No small nightmare is gonna break me down. I'm a strong kid. Carl seemed to smile a little at me, and the worry faded from his face. Now come on, let's go play. We can race with that new scooter your mom got me. Evelyn looked surprised before she looked down at Carl with a displeased smile. Did you tell him? She said with a hint of laughter in her words as she stood up. Carl just laughed softly and ran out of the room. Hey, grab your sweater. It's supposed to be colder out today. Your mom would kill me if you caught a cold. She sighs as Carl runs down the stairs before her attention is focused back on me. Are you sure you're okay, Clinton? I sigh and roll my eyes. A hint of anger surged through me as she questioned me. I'm just worried about you. That seemed worse than last time. I glared at her softly, wanting her to stop before it became a problem, before she inevitably said, Are you sure you don't want to talk about it? Evelyn, I'm fine. God, you're as bad as Lyra. I felt guilt flow through my blood as her face turned to sorrow, disappointed that she got nowhere yet again. Can you leave now? I say softly, trying to push down the anger that I noticed bubbling under my skin. I have to get ready, or Carl's going to take my helmet. All right, dear, she said softly, turning towards the door and closing it gently behind her. I groan and run my hands through my hair. The long strands laced my fingers until just below my shoulders. I slowly pushed myself out of bed. I wasn't all that worried about Carl taking my helmet, but it is always a good excuse to get her out of my room. I look out the window, a cold sweat plastering on my body almost instantly as I see my reflection, a blink of a memory that haunted me tonight, a blink of being held up by that monster. I shake the feeling off and grab my clothes from the drawer at the end of my bed. I change into my clothes and walk down the stairs, smiling at Carl as he stands by the door. Clinton, don't forget to take your meds before you go out to play. There's some orange juice on the counter beside them for you. I groan and sulk over to the kitchen away from Carl, who was holding both of our helmets in his hands and was leaning against the door. I grab my sweater from the closet on the way and pick up the 2 small pills in my hands. They were a soft blue color, small and round. I glare at them angrily before shoving them into my mouth and gulping them down with the orange juice. I looked up at Carl's mom, Lyra, as she stood in the kitchen making breakfast. Her blonde hair was tipped with an auburn hue, and her almost hot pink eyes reflected against the sun that shined through the open door. She put down her tools to say goodbye to us at the door. I put on my sweater as she walked over. Don't be out too late. Remember, we're going to celebrate later today. She passed my shoulder and then ruffles up Carl's hair, smiling at us both. What are we celebrating? I asked, a little confused, glancing both at Lyra and Evelyn as I gently grab my helmet from Carl and tighten it around myself. They just smile, and Lyra waves her hand dismissively. Just make sure to work up an appetite. I sigh, annoyed as she walks away. Carl starts walking outside after putting on his helmet and sweater, and I quickly chase after him. Hey, wait up! Tell me what we're celebrating! I say as the door closes behind us. He just smiles and keeps walking towards the garage, smiling wider as he opens the door and I frown. Not talking, huh? Well... I glance around the backyard for ideas and some sort of way to get him to talk, cringing at the garbage cans as I look back at him. What if I give you $1 off my allowance this month? That's $6. 3 from Lyra, 3 from Evelyn. He stays silent as he opens the garage door and walks towards our stuff. He seemed to think about it for a second as he grabs his bike and I grab my scooter. I look at him with puppy dog eyes as he smiles and shakes his head. Oh, come on, wait, what if I give you $5 right now? His smile widens as he looks at me. I could tell he wanted more. Okay, $15 right now, and then I'll do your chores for this week. Come on, Carl, I really want to know. I look at him, internally cringing as my words hit my ears, and cringing at the wide-eyed smile on his face. How much? I glare at him, anger bubbling up as his smile widens. I just look down at the handlebars of my scooter, gripping them tightly. I bite my tongue, ready to speak up, correct it to a smaller price. He quickly sets his bike upright and grabs my hand, shaking it. It doesn't matter. You've got a deal, big bro. I glare at him as he turns away, grabbing his bike again. Hey! He flinches, glancing back at me quickly as I yell. Don't call me that! I bite down on my tongue, already angry at myself for being so mean to him. What? Why? He said, turning back towards me. We are not brothers. Our moms may be best friends, but that does not make us brothers. Not even cousins. Got it? They're not related. We're not related. I stomped my foot down, gritting my teeth as I got myself worked up. I'm not even related to Evelyn. She's not my mom, and so... Okay, Carl said quickly, a guilty and sad expression on his face as he looked at me worried. Okay, I'm sorry. I felt a ping of guilt fill my gut before I sighed and brushed off the anger. It's whatever, Shrimp. Now, what's going on today? He hops on his bike and pedals beside me as we start moving down the alleyway. It was silent for a minute before he smiled at me, excited about what's going on. You really don't know? I glare at him again before he laughs and smiles, looking ahead of himself as he pedals. Okay, well, it's been a year since Evelyn picked you up and moved in beside us. I glance over at him worriedly, a chill of fear running through my spine. She's not going to put me back there, is she? Carl just laughs and shakes his head. Of course not! I couldn't hide the sigh of relief that escaped my lungs. Why do you think she'd do that? I just shook my head and waved at him dismissively. Don't worry about it. All right, well, those $15 aren't going to spend themselves. I was thinking ice cream. I smile softly at him as I kick off the ground faster to keep up. Didn't your mom say to work up an appetite, not fill up on sweets? He just laughs and looks back at me. I'll forget if we don't spend it now. I roll my eyes and look ahead of us as we keep going. The noise of his bike and my scooter was drowned out as we kept going. My thoughts started circling in my head. It wasn't unnatural for my head to fill with noise before my meds kicked in. I thought of it as a last attempt for them to haunt me before they didn't for the rest of the day. I gripped my teeth, my handlebars tight under my fists as thoughts mimicked Carl's voice calling me brother. It filled me with anger and emotions I couldn't begin to process, and my mind wanted me to scream at him. That I wasn't and never will be his brother all over again. I was mad I was cut off, mad I didn't get to finish telling him off. Mad that I wanted to so badly. The only brother I ever had blew that for anybody else. I gulped down the pain in my throat as I looked down at my handlebars in the soft fabric as it expands between my fingers. I saw the gravel road turn to the pavement below me. I watched as the pebbles flew under my tires and the bright light of headlights swirled past me. I straightened my back and my body was flooded with anger. Watch where the hell you're going! I yelled, pausing in the middle of the road to continue seeing a car speed down the school zone. Wowee, brother! I flinched, my anger subsiding as much as it flooded back up as I turned towards Carl. You didn't even flinch when that car came around the corner! You're so brave! He said, pedaling past me after looking both ways. Hey! I say, getting his attention again. Anger laced my voice before I sighed and glared at him with much calmer emotion. Don't call me brother, I say sternly, walking towards him. Sorry, Clinton, he said, looking down guilty. I stared at him, emotions coming to me in waves. Anger, guilt, sadness, memories filled my mind before I looked past him, noticing we were across the street from the store now. Come on, Trump, let's get some ice cream. He smiles softly as he hops off his bike and walks beside me. Here, let me lock it up, I say, reaching into my pocket and handing him the money. Go surprise me with something. I smile softly as I watch him smile and run off into the store. I take my time locking them up, twisting our lock around my scooter in a way that it wouldn't be stolen even if someone tried. They wouldn't get out of it before we got outside. As I walked inside, I turned my head towards a small freezer, confused when I didn't see Carl immediately. I shrugged and brought my hands up to my mouth, yelling softly, Carl, where you at, buddy? After no response, I shrug and just slowly start wandering the aisles. Come on now, give us the money. What is a twerp like you need so much for, anyway? I picked my head up as I heard a voice hit my ears from about an aisle down. I take a few faster footsteps to round the corner just to see Carl being pinned against the back wall by two older kids. They looked to be about a year or two older than me. I felt my grip tight beside me, my nails digging into the palms of my hands as I took a heavy step towards them. One of them had his hand above his head, a tight grip on his wrist as they pulled him up. I bet he's gonna spend it all on candy. Look at this, I doubt he needs any more. Ever. I grip my teeth as he pokes Carl's belly. He's got enough sugar stored to give a bear a tummy ache. I take more heavy steps towards them. Please, leave me alone, I'm not giving you anything. He squirmed under their grip and tried to pry his fingers off of his wrist. I was just about to open my mouth when I noticed the muscles twitch in one of the kids' shoulders. Hey! My voice boomed behind them, quickly making the kid spin around and drop his arm. What the hell do you think you're doing to him? I could almost smile as I towered over them. Oh, crap, nothing, man, we were just leaving. The one holding his wrist said, quickly turning tail and running. The other one followed quickly, and I calmly walked towards Carl. Yeah, that's what I thought, I yelled, glaring down the aisle at them. I sighed softly as I looked at Carl, who was rubbing his wrist. You alright, bud? He quickly dusts himself off after making sure his wrist is okay and smiles up at me. Yeah. I smile and mess up his hair after checking him over. Let's go get that ice cream now, he said, quickly running off. I could tell it was more to cover up the fear, but it was nice to hear him so hyper. We ended the day with an almost birthday-like celebration, going to Milkshake King for dinner. It was nice to feel so loved and welcomed, even if they treated me with nothing but kindness for a year now. The scooter was the main gift Carl's mom had gotten for me, but I also ended up getting a whole bunch of new clothes in my favorite color. They were mixes of bright and dark reds. I loved how it seemed to match my eyes. Evelyn got me some new PJs and a few different puzzles, board games, and toys. She still didn't know me too well, but she tried. She and Lyra both did.